Welcome to Milwaukee, Paul Jones and Sherman Hamilton. The Raptors start the 3-game road trip here in Milwaukee, but they started, Sherm, having lost 7 of their last 9 games. And people would say, this is a bad time to go on the road. Maybe it's something that helps them get it together, but they sure need to turn this thing around. They had a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter after a very lackluster first half and just couldn't hold on to the lead against the Pelicans, hence a 2-point loss, 95-93.
Well, we've seen this team struggle in terms of the consistency that they play with, the execution, the ability to recognize the trends of the game and react accordingly. And I really thought that third quarter against New Orleans, that embodied who this team wants to be. They stopped New Orleans, they turned them over, they got out in transition, they scored 35 points, they held New Orleans to 14 points in that third quarter. That's their kind of basketball, and if you remember back a couple months ago when they were winning, that's how they got those big leads and were able to close teams out. But that fourth quarter, the first and second quarter, those are quarters that drive coaches crazy. And Dwayne Casey's searching to find a way to get his team more consistent, but it just seems like the recognition isn't there, the ability to get things done consistently isn't there, and I really think this team is falling into that trap of settling again. They're not trying to really force the issue, they're settling for jump shots, and then they have those moments defensively, which Dwayne Casey's trying to shorten, where they just kind of lose their focus a bit. And that, to me, is really their Achilles heel. But they've got to become that team that is hungry again, that team that's trying to prove to everybody who they are. Right now, they look like a team that feels like they've kind of arrived, and that's not the way you're going to be successful.
No, it's not, Sherman. The Pelicans broke a 6-game losing streak to Toronto. And the Raptors come into Milwaukee having won the last 5 over the Bucks, including a beatdown of epic proportions. And we mean epic proportions, folks. The fact that Toronto beat Milwaukee by 42, tying the largest margin of victory in the history of the Toronto Raptors franchise against any opponent. I think the Bucks are waiting up for him, Sherm.
I think so. And you look at teams like Detroit, the Bucks. These are teams that are different than the first time you saw them. And even you look at the Atlanta Hawks. That was a team that played a totally different brand of basketball the last time the Raptors saw them. This Bucks team without Jabari Parker, they've done a great job. Jason Kidd has these guys playing hard. And when you don't have a star, you don't have a key guy, you don't have all the players that you need to have to be successful, I think this team is outworking teams. They're doing a good job in terms of defensively being active, creating steals, and they're a hungry team. I mean, the beginning of the year, who thought the Milwaukee Bucks would be in the playoff hunt?
Ahead of the Cleveland Cavaliers right now.
Exactly. They're ready to play, and I don't think they want to give that spot up, so the Raptors are going to face a challenge. And you're right, you beat a team by that much, they don't forget that, and they've tried to come back with revenge.
Well, the Bucks have held opponents under 90 points, not just under 100, under 94 times. They are undefeated. They've held teams under 80 at points. This, I feel, is going to be a kind of a grinded-out type game. You can see it 8 o'clock on Sportsnet 1, and you can hear it 8 o'clock Sportsnet Fan 590. And remember, folks, a host of games taking place on the national holiday in the United States as they celebrate the life, the legacy, the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.